Well, thanks for the order, Mr. Williams. I'll try to see to get delivery within a week. Goodbye. It's great to deal with a man who knows his business. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Just about time for Mr. Williams to buzz for one of us, isn't it, Jean?
Why, yes, he usually gives dictation about this time.
I wish I had your experience. It still makes me nervous every time I'm called for dictation.
That's natural when you're new at it, but don't let it worry you, Marge. After you've been here a little longer, you'll be able to take it in your stride.
Maybe, if you keep on helping me the way you have. But I can't help feeling I have so much to learn.
You saw the two girls who work for me out there. I'm lucky to have them. Jean, the blonde, is my secretary. Marge is my stenographer. In time, Marge, too, probably will be a secretary. But she has just recently started to work, and she has a lot to learn. Things all beginners have to learn. Take the matter of dictation, for example. Yesterday morning, when I was ready to get out my correspondence, Jean was busy on a rush job, so I buzzed for Marge. Now, Marge herself admits that she always becomes flustered at the prospect of taking dictation. She had trouble finding her notebook. Finally, she dug it out of a pile of papers. She should have been ready to start then, but she had forgotten to sharpen her pencils. At last, she was ready to answer my call. This wasted time had not only slowed things up for her, but kept me waiting as well. Before we could begin, I had to remind her about one more thing. Marge was sitting in the chair where the last caller had left it. She forgot that I prefer to have her sit on the opposite side of my desk. She should have remembered, too, to mark the place where she stopped the last time she took dictation. At last, we were ready to begin. We did get through the morning mail, but it could have been done much more easily if Marge had had more experience, if she had developed the accurate, efficient work habits which characterize a good secretary. Even after she had left, she had to come back for her handkerchief. A little care would have spared me this interruption. I don't mean to be hard on Marge. She will improve, and she may develop into a really good secretary, especially since she has Jean to help her. Now, yesterday afternoon, after Jean had finished her rush job, I buzzed for her. She was ready. In Jean's desk, everything is neat. Her notebooks stay in a definite place. Knowing that I may start dictating right away, she opens her notebook in advance to the place where she will start writing. She has marked with a rubber band a clean page dated for today's dictation. When she knows she has almost filled one notebook, she takes along another, which she may need during dictation. She doesn't forget any of the tools necessary for taking dictation. She prefers a fountain pen, but she takes 2 sharp pencils also in case her pen runs dry. And she's all ready for dictation. Now, it may have seemed that she took quite a while, because there were quite a few things to be pointed out. So, watch her movements again. I barely have my finger off the button before she's on her way to my office. By preparing herself in advance, she has saved time for both of us. She sits so she can watch me as I dictate. And I don't have to tell her to put her notebook on the desk in order to have a solid surface on which to write. Then we're underway with no time lost. Each item of dictation is numbered. A rush item carries a special notation and is marked with a paper clip, so she can find it quickly when she starts to transcribe. Other notations mark letters to be sent airmail or special delivery, and various instructions such as carbon copy for sales department. The same number is given the item of correspondence as the dictated letter which answers it. Items of correspondence are placed face down to keep them in proper order. Other notations, such as RUF to indicate a rough draft, help her organize her work. Of course, my dictation involves many things besides letters. There are telegrams which she marks just as she does rush letters. Other items of dictation include memorandums and notes on such things as making arrangements for trips, instructions for answering letters without dictation, and various other matters, all of which Jean keeps carefully organized. She uses longhand to be sure of unfamiliar words and difficult proper names. This may take a little longer, but it saves time in the long run. Whenever I make a grammatical error or repeat, then she either asks me about it, or if it's a simple error, she corrects the mistake when she transcribes. She keeps pace with my dictation. If she gets a little behind while I'm dictating rapidly, she doesn't become flustered. She knows that before very long I'll have to stop and think what to say next. That's when she catches up with me. Notice how she keeps moving the page up so that it's easy to turn to the next. Reaching the end of a notebook causes no delay in Jean's work. She just continues in a new book, which she had the foresight to bring with her. Quite often a phone call comes in while I'm dictating, and I have to stop for a few minutes. A good secretary like Jean uses this time to check her notes. She checks the last paragraph I've dictated, and then if there's time, she also puts in some of the more important punctuation. She could do this later, but it's easier now with the dictation fresh on her mind. When I get back to dictating, I've often lost track of just where we were and want Jean to repeat the last paragraph. She knows this usually happens. Having just checked her notes, she's always ready for it. Frequently, I want to change what I said at first, so she crosses it out and starts again. When I want to add a few words to a sentence already written, she simply inserts them between the lines. For a longer insert, she marks the proper place in her notes and writes the insert below. That's how it was when I dictated to Jean yesterday afternoon. It didn't take long to finish. As we went along, she had asked me to clear up any doubtful points after each item of dictation had been completed. She had a question about the dictation, and she asked it right then. We discussed a few matters about old work still in progress. When Jean left, she took everything with her. None of this coming back and interrupting me. Yes, Jean is a good secretary, as you can see by the way she takes dictation. She's neat, accurate, reliable, and speedy. She gives attention to the little details that simplify our work. She's always ready to take dictation. She checks and rechecks at every opportunity so that her work is accurate. So you can see how much Marge has to learn before she can be rated as a secretary like Jean. A good secretary.